9 to about 11 every morning, weekdays. So we are back, and we are now going to get into the DeSean Jackson situation. So let's backtrack, give you guys history. To everybody that was tuned in earlier, we're back. So you can tune back in and chime in whenever you're ready. So if you don't know, there was a tweet by DeSean Jackson. He made a reference to Adolf Hitler. It was taken very hard by a lot of people, the Jewish community. He has apologized twice. And we have a situation, if you will. Mike, thanks for tuning back in, Mike Vitano. So we have a situation, if you will, if that's what you want to call it. Now, initially, the talk was immediately that he should be cut, fined, whatever. They were discussing that. Now, when I initially heard that, someone at work asked me, did I think he was going to be around for a long time? My initial thought was, knowing and understanding the type of businessman and person that Jeffrey Lurie, who, by the way, is Jewish, is, I really didn't think that he would cut him because of the money situation or whatever you want to do. But I just had a gut feeling that knowing the person that he is, knowing the type of owner that he is, that DeSean Jackson would probably not get cut. And I said he would definitely get a hefty fine, which he did. And he will have a plethora of work to do on and off the field. More so off the field than on it.
His first incident.
It's not his first incident, but this is the first one of this magnitude. So there was a lot of talk, within the first several days or so. And again, I have to do my research. I like to do my research before I bring things to the table so I can give you my opinions and my take on what was already said. And I have to bring it to you in, like we say in our description in our group, from the level that we can all understand, like the doctor or medical people would say in layman's terms. Okay? Now, he has, again, like I said, he has since apologized twice. He has spoken with a Holocaust survivor. He has set up time to speak with a rabbi to learn more about the Jewish culture. Another NFL player, Julian Edelman, reached out to him and basically said, look, we'll talk. We'll sit down and talk. We're going to have this conversation that nobody wants to have. Okay? This uncomfortable conversation that nobody wants to have. I'll take you to the Jewish museums and whatever. And in turn, you take me to the African Museum and we'll learn each other's culture that way. That way we'll be able to spread the wealth. Okay? I like that. I think that's a great idea. Excellent. And in his apologies, I think DeSean realized what he did. Actually, he realized what he said made a lot of noise. A lot more noise than he expected it to. And in my opinion, when that tweet came out, I think it was in the heat of the moment for him. Okay? And I'm not going to say I condone it, but I understand it. Like I said, again, when we said prior to this second segment, the climate that we're in, it was, in my opinion, slightly understandable. Could he have chosen a better choice of words? Absolutely. Could he have said things different? Absolutely. But like I said, at the time, after I did my research, in my opinion, I think that was a heat of the moment thing for him. But again, he has been very sincere, very apologetic, and very willing to do everything that he needs to do to get this thing quelled or get it squashed. Okay. So in my thought process about that, when my first conversation, I thought about everything that went on with the Eagles, the ownership and all of that. And it brought me to one point that I remember. And I'm sure plenty of people will also remember this. There was one guy, wide receiver, named Riley Cooper. And ironically, DeSean Jackson was on that team at the time.
I forgot about Riley Cooper.
Riley Cooper made some racial comments live, verbally, in public.
Mm-hmm. He was drunk talking about the word.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He made his statements verbally, out loud, live, and in public.
Yeah.
He wasn't cut. In essence, he got another contract.
Yeah, he did.
Okay? Now, you flash forward to DeSean Jackson again. Like I said, he could have done things in a different way. Absolutely.
Right.
But it all goes back to those two words again. Tolerance, and what was the other one? Tolerance and inclusion. Mm-hmm. Okay? You want to include us, and when I say us, I mean African Americans. We are included when it's feasible, when it's comfortable for them. But at any time, and I'm talking about the racist, I'm not talking about all Caucasians, I'm talking about the racist side of that culture.
Right.
But when it's feasible for you, when it's comfortable for you, beneficial for you, you include us. Mm-hmm. Hey, Auntie Joe, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Mm-hmm. No Chill, thanks for tuning in. Mm-hmm. So when you use those two words again, and we relate them to this DeSean Jackson situation, right. Tolerance. Again, like we all said, myself, Frank, and Shawana chimed in earlier. Mm-hmm. We've tolerated for way too long. Mm-hmm. We have continually tolerated. Absolutely. And again, it's about time. We've had enough. Mm-hmm. There has to be a change. It has to be something done. And DeSean Jackson, African American male professional athlete from LA, he knows the struggle. Okay? And I constantly tell you all, racism does not discriminate. We have seen the stories where it goes from the average Joe, as we like to say, one of myself, Frank, and everybody else that's tuned in right now, all the way up to professional athletes, actors, wealthy. It stretches all the way across the board. There's no section or whatever that's cut out. It's complete all the way across the board. So, again, tolerance level is way over. That tolerance meter is busted. Okay? That inclusion is coming. Right. Because we're going to make it happen. Right. And the way we're going to include is kind of like Biggie's song. Mm-hmm. We're going to kick in the door. That's the way it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. It's the way it has to happen. Because if it doesn't happen that way, then again, they will give us enough on certain times to calm us down and somewhat pacify us or satisfy us. And it'll be dry for a bit, and then it'll start over again. Same old stuff. So we going to be included. Right. And see, the fear is once we unite, they have no win. They know that, we know that.
We're powerful.
They know that, we know that. Very powerful and very educated. And they don't believe it. But I'm not going to say educated, I'm going to say smart.
Yeah, street smart a little bit.
I'm going to say smart.
Right.
Because smart can cover a broad spectrum.
Common sense, yeah.
Okay? And we all know common sense is not common.
Yeah.
We know that. It's a known fact. It's a known fact. Common sense is not common. Everybody does not have common sense. I mean, we just talked about somebody that apparently has no common sense.
You got a lot of money.
And her name is, again, Kelly Loeffler.
Right.
Part owner of the Atlanta Dream. No common sense whatsoever.
All that bread, no
okay? Now, ironically, in this whole picture, and I'm not sure how many people know this, but Jeffrey Lurie also owns a production company.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, he just completed a deal with Disney, and they have a short film or docuseries or whatever on, guess who?
DeSean?
No. I'm going to say it in a minute, but I'm going to give you a chance to think about it. Shawana says, bull on bull, if it was common. Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, Jeffrey Lurie, ironically, in this whole situation, has a production company of money you did not know. He just did a deal with Disney. Mm-hmm. He completed, I think it's a docuseries or something. And it's on Adolf Hitler.
Oh, wow, wow.
So, again, here we are going back to the beginning of what I said, the type of person that I feel like Jeffrey Lurie is. He's not. And I mean, DeSean Jackson has since talked to Jeffrey Lurie. He has talked to Howie Roseman. Mm-hmm. And they laid out a stern list of things that he needs to do. And I agree. Howie Roseman, another Jewish man. So they have laid out a strategic plan for DeSean Jackson to, get back to where he was. I have no issues with that. And again, I didn't feel that he should be cut. I mean, he made a mistake. However tragic the mistake was, he made a mistake. But the difference in him making the mistake and with a lot of other people making a mistake is he sincerely apologized. He's sincere, and he is on board wholeheartedly with doing everything he needs to do to make things right. Or make them as right as he can. Okay? I mean, we can go back to talking about Drew Brees when we brought this thing up again. And again, like we said, all of the racists wanted to go and talk about Colin Kaepernick, bring him up again, and talk about his protest was disrespectful to the flag. People, all walks of life, do your damn research before you open your mouth. Colin Kaepernick's protest was not any way, shape, or form directed toward a piece of cloth.
Oppressing the black people.
It was about,
cops,
Jackie Bridge, it was about the oppression and the injustices that were going on in minority communities all across the country that have been going on and continue to go on now.
And now you see it now.
Prior to that, before his protest, and a lot of people probably don't know this, he spoke with a Caucasian Vietnam veteran who gave him the approval to make that stand and protest, to take that knee after he heard Colin Kaepernick's agenda.
They not to get off and go back in the sports ball cap. They talking about he got benched, and that's the reason why he came.
No,
so
had nothing to do with that. Okay.
That's what hates me.
See, the problem is they want to control. I tell you all the time, they want to control the narrative. They want to control it. So, getting back to where I was going, and I talk about DeSean Jackson and Drew Brees. Drew Brees said what he said, then he made an apology. But that apology was only pressured.
That was bull.
Okay? It was a bullcrap apology, and it was only after his teammate, Malcolm Jenkins, dug in his ass and said something about it.
You know what my did? She said, real quick, she said, the first time you open your mouth, regardless of what you go through,
you got to stick with it.
You meant it.
You got to stick it.
So
Shawana comes in and says, you're asking people to read and comprehend what they are reading. Research means nothing to these people. It's all about what's happening in front of them, but they don't know why. Absolutely. And this is why I take pride in doing my research before I put things on social media. Before I bring them to you live on air. Because I know people are watching. I know they're watching. And because I check my social media feeds. I check them.
I follow you too.
But I check them in more ways than a lot of people check. Like, a lot of people check their social medias because it's fun for them. And I have no issues with that. My angle with this social media, that's my platform. It's business for me, and that's my platform. So I have to uphold my integrity.
There you go.
And everything that I give you, anytime I give it to you, is my opinions and my opinions alone.
Yep.
After I've done some research. Okay? So Shawana, thanks for that, and you are absolutely right. The problem becomes where people don't want to read. They see what they see from the media, they see what they see on social media, and then they just react.
Yeah.
Okay? If you pay attention, the media, let's talk about media. Not social media. Social media is supposed to be fun. I feel it's supposed to be fun. But like I said, I chose a different angle with my social media because of what I'm doing right now. But speaking of just media, we all know what the media's job is. To sell papers. Not to get on that, but it's to sell papers.
Negative papers.
To give you something to think about on the news if you watch the news. Okay? Well, not so much. The news is supposed to report what's going on around you, but as far as media, they want to sell papers. They want to sell magazines. So they're going to give you stuff that's going to have you, and then when they give it to you, they give it to you the part where they say, oh, well, this, and this, and you're like, oh, damn, I need to read this. But then you don't read it.
Yeah.
You read parts that you want to read.
Right.
And in doing that, you miss the message.
Yeah.
Whatever message is given, you miss it. Because you're seeing what you want to see, not what's actually there on paper.
We heard bull crap, you know?
Right? So, getting back to this media thing, again, I applaud Adrian Wojnarowski, for defending. And I also applaud the plethora of professional athletes, LeBron James being one, which is the major name, so that I'm using that name right now, who are in support of him.
Yeah.
Okay? And again, that goes into tolerance, inclusion. Those are going to be the 2 words of the day. They might be the 2 words of the week. Okay, I didn't have a T-shirt today. Whatever, but I skipped the week. But now we got some better stuff. I mean, inclusion and tolerance, I think, are going to be the words of the week. They're definitely the words of the day for right now. So, all in all, to boil it down with this DeSean Jackson issue, if you will, like I said, I've read a lot of stuff. And, of course, Steven Jackson has chimed in and is in support of DeSean Jackson.
Yes, he is.
And one tweet that Steven Jackson put out, and I'm going to read it. Okay, actually, I'm going to read a couple things. One of the things he said is that he just read the statement by DeSean Jackson, and he said he's speaking the truth. You know, he didn't hate nobody, but he's speaking the truth of the facts that he knows and trying to educate others. So, what I'm going to take from that, in my opinion, from Steven Jackson, is saying that what he said he felt was not wrong. What he said was a point to where we are. Tolerance. Tolerated enough. Okay? And it goes back to the other point I mentioned. DeSean Jackson. People are going to listen because of who he is. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Okay? Well, not so much from the heart, but again, like Shawana also said, people read and don't comprehend. You read that, people read that, and immediately they saw Adolf Hitler. Oh, he's a racist. He's coming against the Jews, this, that, and the third. Read the whole thing. Read between the lines, as we like to say a lot of times, okay? You'll get the whole story. Take your time and read. All right? The other thing Steven Jackson says is, but y'all don't want us to educate ourselves. If it's talking about the black race, y'all ain't saying nothing about it. They killing us, police killing us and treating us like sugar honey iced tea. Racism at an all-time high, but ain't none of you NFL owners spoke up on that. None of your teams spoke up on that. But the same team had a receiver, and he mentions it here. What we just say, Riley Cooper, who said the N-word publicly. He got an extension,
new contract,
and there it is. So, another post from Steven Jackson, and I quote, "To whom it may concern, your racist pain doesn't hurt more than the next racist pain. Don't act like your hardships are more devastating than ours. And you wonder why we fighting for equality. Common sense ain't common. Truth hurts. Never waste time explaining to people who never supported you anyway. Free game. End quote. I'm going to leave y'all with that for right now. It is 11:56. 4 minutes to the top of the hour. 12 o'clock, noontime, lunchtime. When we come back, we got a plethora of Sixers stuff to get to. I definitely want to get to that. So, Sixers fans, stay tuned. You are coming up next. It's your boy D. See you on the other side in just a couple of minutes.
It's the morning rush.
Get your soda, your coffee, your tea, or your juice, whatever floats your boat.
Live on the Heat
GI on Heat 100 Radio.
Way.